One of the most difficult things to master in English are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs refer to verbs that collocate with particles, which are also referred to as prepositions. However, they have a meaning that is completely different than their individual elements. For example, I looked up to the sky. Here we have a verb and particle combination, but the meaning is clear. The preposition just clarifies the direction of where I looked. However, in the sentence, I looked up the word in the dictionary. The verb and the particle looked up means to search, which is an idiomatic meaning that is different than each individual element of the phrasal verb. Remember, all phrasal verbs are verbs followed by prepositions, but not all verbs followed by prepositions are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are super important because they're more natural and conversational than other types of language. And in some cases, the phrasal verb is more popular than the actual verb itself. For example, it's more popular and easier to say, "Turn off your computer, please," rather than "Cut the power supply to your computer, please." Phew, that's a mouthful. So let's go through the best ways to learn phrasal verbs. First, I'll talk about how to organize phrasal verbs in the easiest way. Then, I'll talk about how to learn phrasal verbs in context. And finally, I'll discuss the best ways to apply your phrasal verbs. So let's get started. A lot of English textbooks, websites, and even YouTube channels will teach phrasal verbs grouped by the common verb. For example, here are some phrasal verbs using the verb get. Wrong. That's the worst way to learn because you're trying to learn the meaning of words that look almost identical but have completely different meanings. That's so confusing. Our brain relies on making connections between words, and it's nearly impossible to make connections with these words. So don't do that. Instead, you can organize your phrasal verbs in different ways. First, you can learn phrasal verbs that use the same preposition or particle. This can be helpful because particles have certain tendencies of how they react with other words. For example, if we look at the preposition out, we know that it means when there's nothing of something, or when something stops existing or has disappeared. So knowing the meaning of out can help us understand the meaning of the different phrasal verbs here. For example, sell out. The store sold out of bread. From here, we understood that we sold so much bread that there's nothing left. Go out. There was a storm last night and the power went out. From this sentence, we understand that the storm was so dangerous that the power stopped working. Now, out has lots of different applications and tendencies in English, but this can help you to learn and identify phrasal verbs easier. And a key tip here is to learn phrasal verbs in order of their opposite prepositions. For example, if I'm focusing on phrasal verbs with the preposition on, it makes sense that I would next learn phrasal verbs with the preposition off. Another key tip is to organize phrasal verbs by topic or context. For example, you can learn phrasal verbs for morning routines or to describe emotions or to talk about love and relationships. This way, there's a link between different verbs and they're more relatable because of the context. And you'll be able to learn how to apply them to real life contexts. It's not like they're being learned within a vacuum. So now that we know the best ways to organize your lists, let's talk about how to learn these phrasal verbs in context. In general, the more connections, either linguistically or visually, you can make with new vocabulary, the more you'll be able to retain and remember these words. That's why whenever I teach vocabulary to my students, there's always a photo with the word. This way, they can associate the word visually and even make their own connections in their own language. Now, since phrasal verbs are verbs, it's always best to show them in action. And you can learn them by watching videos or cartoons. My personal favorite is to show Mr. Bean. He's always doing various actions and not saying a single word. This way, I can help students to isolate phrasal verbs and not get confused with other language. Plus, he's pretty funny too. Do you know the phrasal verb curl up? Well, take a look at this video. In this video, Mr. Bean is curled up with a good book. And now you know that curl up means to get comfortable, usually in a relaxed position. How about the phrasal verb chow down? In this video, Mr. Bean is chowing down on some fried chicken. Good. Did you guess that to chow down means to eat something voraciously? Another way to get phrasal verbs from context is to find a TV show or a movie that you like and look up the transcript on Google. Note down any phrasal verbs that you find in the transcript. Next, look up the meanings or try translating them. You can also try writing some helpful sentences. A good website for this is Phrasal Verb Demon. I'll link this in the description. And this will help you to see other sentences using the same phrasal verb. Now that you've learned the phrasal verbs, perhaps the most important skill is learning how to use them to apply your phrasal verbs. Now, one way to use phrasal verbs is to take an existing story or make up your own and try to use phrasal verbs within the story. Another thing I like to do is to make a list of 5 to 10 phrasal verbs. I try to find a TV show or a scene from a movie that has a general topic or can relate to the phrasal verbs of a specific context. Then, I try to give myself a goal of summarizing the action in the clip by using my new phrasal verbs. Take a look at this short clip. In the video, the woman kept on trying to open the door, but was unsuccessful. She ended up trying to break down the door. At the same time, the man decided to go out of the house. The woman almost fell down, but the man caught her in his strong arms. The man was a little taken aback by the woman's dropping in, but it all seemed to work out in the end. Now, in these exercises, you're making your own connections with the words and relating them to your own experiences. This will help you immensely in remembering these newfound phrasal verbs. Now, if you want to sound more natural when speaking English, you need to take the time to practice phrasal verbs and get more confident using them. Another thing you can do is to learn about other English collocations. So click on the screen to learn more. See you in the next video.